Welcome to today's very special debate. Our topic is the system of value, SOV, a proposed universal currency tied to real production. To my left is Professor V representing the SOV, and to my right is Dr. Weiss representing the Austrian school. Dr. Weiss, please start us off.
Professor V, the Austrian school begins with a fundamental principle. Value is subjective. Prices emerge from countless individual preferences. Your SOV system ties money creation to objective physical production, food, energy, raw materials. That contradicts the subjective theory of value. How can a monetary system based on objective inputs reflect subjective human wants?
SOV doesn't replace objective value. It anchors a currency to the physical foundation that makes objective value possible. People can still value art, entertainment, or luxury goods however they choose. Markets still set prices. But the currency used in those markets is grounded in real production, not debt or political discretion. SOV doesn't dictate value. It prevents the monetary distortions that obscure it.
The Austrian school rejects central planning. Hayek showed that no central authority can gather or process the dispersed knowledge held by individuals. Your SOV system uses a global institution to manage the reservoir and issue currency. Isn't that just central planning with a new coat of paint?
No. Central planning allocates resources. SOV does not. Markets still allocate everything. The global institution doesn't decide what to produce, who gets what, or what prices should be. It simply enforces a rule. Money is created when real value is produced and destroyed when consumed. That's not planning. That's measurement. It's like a scale. A scale doesn't plan your diet. It just tells the truth.
Entrepreneurs drive progress by discovering new opportunities. They need flexible capital markets. They need credit. They need the freedom to take risks. If money creation is tied to primary goods, how do entrepreneurs access capital for innovation? You can't fund a tech startup with wheat.
You fund it with real savings, the multi-year reservoir. When society produces more than it consumes, the surplus becomes a capital pool. Entrepreneurs borrow from real stored value, not from leveraged credit or artificially low interest rates. This eliminates malinvestment, the Austrian explanation for boom-bust cycles. Under SOV, entrepreneurial discovery still thrives, but without the distortions caused by artificially cheap money.
Austrians argue that interest rates must emerge from time preference, the trade-off between present and future consumption. Central banks distort this by manipulating rates. But SOV seems to fix the money supply mechanically. Doesn't that distort interest rates just as badly?
Not at all. SOV doesn't set interest rates. It simply ensures that the money supply reflects real production. Interest rates still emerge from time preference, but now they're based on real savings, not credit expansion. In fact, SOV creates the purest Austrian interest rate imaginable, one grounded entirely in actual deferred consumption.
Markets evolve spontaneously. Money historically emerged from commodities, gold, silver, salt, through voluntary exchange. SOV is designed, not discovered. Isn't that fundamentally anti-Austrian?
Money emerged from commodities because commodities represented real value. SOV preserved that principle. It just updates the commodity. Instead of gold, the currency is backed by the entire basket of essential goods humanity produces. It's not arbitrary. It's the most comprehensive commodity standard ever created. And unlike gold, it scales with civilization.
Austrians care deeply about individual liberty. A universal currency administered by a global institution sounds like a threat to sovereignty and freedom. How do you prevent abuse of power?
By removing discretion, the institution cannot print money. It cannot set interest rates. It cannot allocate resources. It cannot favor nations. It simply applies a transparent rule. Money in equals value in. Money out equals value out. It has less power than a central bank, not more. It's not a planner, it's a referee.
You're arguing that SOV eliminates the very distortions the Austrian school has spent a century criticizing: artificial credit expansion, manipulated interest rates, malinvestment boom-bust cycles, and monetary intervention.
Exactly. SOV is Austrian economics with a stable foundation. It gives markets the honest money they've always needed.
I approached this debate assuming SOV was another technocratic scheme, but I see now that it actually restores the conditions for true market order. Prices reflect real scarcity. Interest rates reflect real-time preference. Investment reflects real savings. And the boom-bust cycle, the Austrian nightmare, disappears because money cannot be created through credit.
That's the goal, not to replace markets, but to give them a monetary system worthy of them.
Then I'm convinced. SOV isn't anti-Austrian. It's the first monetary system that fully embodies Austrian principles. I'm switching sides.
Well, that's a rare moment, an Austrian economist genuinely persuaded by the logic of SOV. Thank you both for an extraordinary debate, and big thanks to our audience. I strongly recommend that you watch Part 1, and especially Part 2 of the Universal Currency videos, to learn more about the SOV. See you in the next debate.